You know, a mental illness is a possession by dark spirits. Anything that gets in your head and make you think that's your thoughts, those are not your thoughts. There's a dark entity attached to you, telling you that you're nothing. Make you think about taking your own life. Make you think about hurting people. It's everybody else's fault. But guess what? If you're weak, you're not prayed up, you don't have no faith, the devil gonna get you. He gonna put them words in your head and make you think that's you. Don't call yourself something that you're not. You know, when you've been hurt, traumatized by those demons, if you're not healed, they're gonna attach themselves to you and become your life. If a person having split personalities of different people, those are different demons with different personalities. Watch the movie called Split.
And he's right, because a lot of mental illness, I believe, is demonic possession. But psychiatrists, doctors, they gotta diagnose it somehow. Um, but in the end of the day, I don't think that all mental illness is possession. Some people just got some things going on up in there. But what we're seeing today is definitely, everybody's saying it's a mental health uprise. No, it's a demonic possession uprise. It's in everything. It's in our media. It's in our kids' cartoons. It's in music. It's in uh, social media. Anything that we consume on a daily basis is there. It's ready to get us. And he's right. You got to stay prayed up and you got to stay ready, bruh. On my mama, you got to stay ready.
Demonic possession in psychiatry? You bet. Let's review. A while back, I had a post that covered 3 unique symptoms in psychiatry: dissociation, depersonalization, and derealization. And at the end of that video, I covered the dissociative disorder chapter very briefly in the DSM 5. And when I got to the condition referred to as dissociative identity disorder, I made a really quick reference that this condition allowed for demonic possession. So let's cover what that actually means. So for those of you at home who might have a DSM-5 in the standard version, I'm on page 293 where it goes into some discussion about dissociative identity disorder. So here we go. Possession form identities in dissociative identity disorder typically manifest as behaviors that appear as if a spirit or supernatural being or outside person has taken control, such that the individual begins speaking or acting in a distinctly different manner. For example, an individual's behavior may give the appearance that her identity, interesting, it's not a neutral pronoun, that her identity has been replaced by a ghost of a girl who committed suicide in the same community years before, speaking and acting as though she were alive. Or an individual may be taken over by a demon or deity, resulting in profound impairment and demanding that the individual or a relative be punished for a past act, followed by more subtle periods of identity alteration. Now, the DSM 5 does indicate that when a demonic possession occurs within a culturally acceptable religious practice, then it wouldn't be categorized as pathologic and wouldn't meet criteria for possession type. So, how to get this diagnosis? So, if a person has 2 or more distinct personality states and there are recurrent gaps in memory, causing significant distress and or significant impairment to social, occupational, or other functioning. The features of one of those distinct states, which is not baseline, sounds like what we just read in the possession form description, and it's not part of a normal religious cultural practice, then they meet criteria.
He makes a great point. So, and he's talking about possession and in the medical field. So it is talked about. It's just not going to be talked about to us common folk. That is something that they have to keep hush hush. There's a lot of secrets doctors can't talk about. Another one is like when they die or about to die, um, the reactions, the fear some of them had. The people that are dying, fear, or the embrace of looking like loved ones, like they're going into peace. Because there's 2 different worlds they could be going to. Uh, But yeah, so this actually reminds me of my friend. So my friend had a mental health episode, and this was in 2016, so about 10 years ago. We were in Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, I wasn't with her. She doesn't recall what happened. But what led up to her getting the police called on her was she was running through a field naked. Like, not a field, like Charlotte is very, well, it's not anymore. But back then, it was a lot more tree. It was trees everywhere. That's what I always liked about Charlotte. It was like it's a big city, but it has a small town feel because it had so many trees. Not anymore, y'all. It's just 100% a big city now. Like I said, big city, probably the biggest city in North Carolina. What happened was they could see it was a mental health crisis, so they had, of course, took her to the psychiatry, and whatever happened, she was analyzed, and they talked. She said she talked to a couple of different psychiatrists, and then all of a sudden they shipped her in a truck. And she had a phone. She said it was weird that she remembers that they didn't search her, and she had her phone on her still. So while she was in the truck, she had took a picture of herself. They were in the truck for 4 hours. The picture that she showed me, okay, was a cube. Like, literally, it looked like a human dog kennel. Like, the things that come through the neighborhood, the animal control, and pick up people. It looked like she was in one of those. Okay. How is she in one of those? I don't know. I'm like, well, I asked her, I'm like, why did they put you in this? I've never seen that. I've heard about people being shipped. Usually they have to put handcuffs on and then the back of a police car or even the back of an ambulance. But this girl was in some type of truck that had a hole, and she was literally folded in there, and Raleigh to Charlotte, 4 to 4.5 hours drive. So you were in that box for that long. The picture she showed me, her eyes were black. She looked, and I immediately knew. I said, "You were possessed, weren't you?" And she said, "I don't know." And I said, "I think you were." And I said, "Why would a big city take you all the way to Raleigh?" Because they have a possession a specialist up there. They ain't gonna say that, but they got one. She said she don't know. She don't. She doesn't even remember pretty much what even happened that ended up getting her into that, but it happened. And the fact that they sent her 4.5 hours away, okay, from a big city to Raleigh's a big city too, but it ain't as big as Mother Trucking in Charlotte. I promise you that. Why? What was the necessary need? We have hella psychiatrists here. And if it was emergency, right? We have two huge hospital chains here. We have Atrium and we have Novant, okay? Why was she not allowed to just go if I don't know what hospital took her to, Atrium or Novant. I'm not sure. But why, if y'all had both of those, why did y'all take her? And no, it wasn't directly from the police. Like I said, she went to psychiatrists, and psychiatrists recommended her go down there. And I think to this day that she was possessed, and she doesn't know. She doesn't know. She can't explain it. It's like I said, it's been 10 years since, and she has not had any similar episodes or anything. But I have hung out with her on an occasion. Well, we hang out all the time. But one time we were drinking, and we had went to the corner store, and they sell mushroom gummies now, right? So we got some mushroom gummies, and we were drinking too. Anyways, about an hour into us hanging out, she starts talking like a little girl and laughing. And at first I thought, okay, this girl's just having a little wild trip from the mushrooms. And I'm like, you all right? Chill. And she's, yeah, I'm all right. And she's rocking back and forth. And at this point, I'm starting to get uncomfortable because she continues to do it. Okay, it was kind of funny the first few minutes. But now we're going on to 15, 20, 30 minutes and you're still talking like this. And she like stops. And then she's like, a regular voice comes out. She's like, I'm so sorry. I hope you're not weirded out. And I'm like, weirded out by what? I'm playing it off because, for all she knows, I still think it's a joke and I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable. She said, you seen another side of me. And I was like, okay, that was another side of you. Okay. Not really sure how to react to this. She said that she had multiple people in her and she's very good at hiding them. But when she gets, under the influence, it's harder to hide them. And I seen that little girl. And I tried to stay away for a while because I ain't gonna lie, it was very uncomfortable for me. Especially after that story, I know, like, I feel like you didn't do anything to get the demons out. You're not taking medication to suppress them. So a demon showed up in the voice of a child. Creepy, little creepy child. I ain't gonna lie, like, it terrified me. But anyways, that's my friend. So I hung out with her again, It didn't happen until it did. And then it happened. And I'm like, oh my God, the girl's back. And it freaked me out. I mean, so bad. And I told the little girl, like, you cannot keep doing this while I'm here. I'm not going to allow it. Stop showing up. It's creepy. And I left. And I stopped. I ain't going to lie. I limited my hanging out with her. There's only so much I'm going to do. And then I feel like I'm adding to a problem. To me, it felt like, you're giving alcohol to an alcoholic. Not saying she's alcoholic, but what I'm saying is it's bringing out something in her, and I'm not going to do that. So I stay away from her now. She's my friend, so I'll, of course, attend birthday parties and stuff like that. But it's very limited, and I make sure that more people are around. I'm not doing this with her. And she said because she knew that we had the conversation about it, and she's alert, and she appreciated that I didn't act all crazy and weirded out when she did it. But in the end of the day, I didn't want no parts. I didn't want no parts because no, mm-mm, no, I'm not about to sit up here and entertain demons. They're already everywhere amongst us in people, and then we gotta constantly entertain them. Nah, I ain't finna do all that.
Mental illness and possession actually just the same thing, or are they different? Here's the thing: when you look at scripture and you look at contemporary cases, we see things that cannot be explained scientifically. We see people, when they are possessed, they know things they shouldn't know, they have supernatural strength. There are all different symptoms that cannot be explained by medics or science or medicine. And so all of these elements, they point to something else going on, something diabolical, something sinister, something that is not just a mental illness. They are absolutely different things, and we explore this in Investigating the Supernatural, Angels and Demons.
All right, y'all, if y'all made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate it. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and y'all have a good rest of y'all day, and God bless.